I'm meteorologist Carley Gomez with the latest fire conditions across Northern California. We are dealing with significant fire potential across areas from Sacramento north and especially into these foothills spots. We have been dealing with very dry conditions, humidity dropping as low as the single digits for the last few days. And really, even for the last several months, we've been looking at areas with single-digit humidity. Now, along the coastline here, you can see from areas of Fort Bragg south, very high wind is expected over the next few days, and that could also bring about fire potential. If anything sparks, it is expected to move quickly into these coastal range spots. Now, we have low significant fire potential for areas around San Francisco and just a small patch from Stockton to Modesto, but still dry in those zones as well. Over the next few days, still hot temperatures expected in the upper 90s to triple digits before we expect a cool down to head our way beginning on Sunday. As we take a look at what we can expect to see as we move toward Friday and Saturday, a lot of fires are burning out there. We have the Crozier fire that is in El Dorado County. We still have the fourth largest fire in California's history burning. That's the Park Fire just north of Chico. A lot of that smoke has continued to shift toward the northeast into Susanville. Very similar conditions with that smoke is moving from areas with the Crozier fire here to the northeast into Tahoe and Truckee over the weekend. So if you have plans to head up toward Truckee or South Lake Tahoe, do expect to see a lot of smoke and haze in the area. Now, for the valley spots, also expecting a bit of haze, not quite as smoky, though. We will see that haze lingering in and out of the area due to the diurnal flows that we typically see with the winds pushing onshore and then offshore again as we get into the overnight hours. Taking a look at our high resolution smoke tracker, you can see exactly what I'm talking about with the Park Fire as well as that Crozier fire. You see a lot of that smoke beginning to shift to the northeast, similar here, the northeast into Susanville as we push into Thursday night. And then expect into the overnight hours a little push into the valley as well as the foothill spots, starting to gain more of that smoke and haze as well. In areas of Nevada, definitely feeling the effects of that smoke. Air quality is expected to diminish, especially into Nevada and the higher elevations. If you have plans to go up there, you are looking at somewhat bad air quality. We'll see some areas of moderate to sensitive group air quality into the valley as we'll see that into our weekend. But again, this is what we're seeing with the flows in and out day after day, night, morning, into the overnight hours. Again, we'll see more of that haze and smoke pushing into the valley spots during the daytime hours, kind of pushing right back out. But for a little while, we will see haze kind of blanketing most of Northern California for just a few more days until we get a low pressure system moving in, at least that trough along with it, bringing us much cooler air from the north and the Gulf of Alaska to help us out moving toward next week. As you look at your current air quality as of Thursday night, this is going to look very similar as we move into your Friday as well. You are seeing moderate conditions, and then we're also looking at areas that are moderate to sensitive groups in that orange zone there, but unhealthy air quality is mostly expected up high for Truckee and South Lake Tahoe as we move toward the weekend, Friday and Saturday, as well as areas northeast of Chico like Susanville. So get ready to see that if you did have plans to head there. I want to talk about the humidity. We have been seeing a lot of our humidity down to single digits. I'm talking 5, 6, 7%, extremely low humidity. Most of it has been centered in areas right here, El Dorado County, where we have the Crozier fire, as well as just northeast of Oroville, those very dry zones. You see that khaki color there. Now, these numbers down to the teens and 20%. This is as of the nighttime hour. So earlier in the day, when we see the heat of the day and the peak of the day, we have been seeing these numbers down to single digits and the teens. Meanwhile, we have been getting the Delta breeze moving into our evening hours through the Bay Area, Fairfield, and into areas of Elk Grove and Sacramento, trying to bring up that humidity there up to about 50%, 70% for Fairfield, but still not getting quite of the effects that we're seeing inland for the valley spots into the foothills. They're still at 18 to about 25% from Jackson all the way to Auburn. With our futurecast wind gusts through tonight, we're starting to see things calming down just a little bit more. Still breezy in the valley, but look at the foothills. We're still about 6-mile-per-hour winds, even calm for some zones. So that's some good news for firefighters there battling blazes. But further north, just north of Oroville, we do have a little bit of a pickup for the winds. Not good news when we're talking about the Park Fire there. 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts pushing through Fairfield and through areas near the Tracy Triangle. Moving into Friday, similar scenario, 4 p.m., 15 to 20-mile-per-hour winds, 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then over that Sierra Crest, we're starting to see some of the winds pick up there as well. There's good news and bad news. The bad news is we're starting to get a lot of the winds pushing more of that smoke up higher in elevation and especially into areas of Nevada. So not good for them. Good news is for some areas around the valley, we'll start to get a push out of some of that smoke that's been settling, especially from the overnight hours. So we'll get more of the wind gusts Saturday and once again into Sunday. Now, here's our daily almanac. We actually saw temperatures drop significantly today versus just 24 hours ago. We saw about 100-degree temperatures at Sacramento Executive Airport yesterday, 8 degrees warmer yesterday. And then downtown Sacramento saw about 104 degrees yesterday. They're hitting the upper 90s today. So we definitely got that cool down anywhere from 5 to 8 degrees cooler, but right on par for the average this time of year's overnight lows. Upper 50s to low 60s is what we've been seeing. So we're starting to get the feel of the average temperatures, but that is not lasting long. We'll see temperatures rising once again Friday and Saturday into those upper 90s. Just check out some of the other low or highs, I should say, out there. The upper 90s, almost triple digits for Oroville, but really hot in Ukiah there at 105, 98 in Stockton, 99 in Modesto, mid 90s in the foothills, 80s up high. And with our weather headlines, you had plans to go golfing this weekend. You're going to experience that. What looks to be clouds, but really is that haze overhead when you see some of that smoke out there from the wildfires. The fire weather concerns do continue for the next couple of days, especially as we see gusty winds continue. And of course, the humidity out there very low, so contributing to very dry conditions. But again, as mentioned, that cooling trend is ahead. We just have to wait till we get to Sunday for temperatures to begin dropping off into the mid 90s and low 90s into next week. We're currently tracking a high pressure system in place here. This is slowly beginning to weaken and shift toward the northeast as we get to the next couple of days. As that does so, we'll see this low pressure system here and that trough along with it beginning to slowly slide in, bringing that trough in and bringing us that cooler air that typically comes in from just north here, the Gulf of Alaska air dipping into California. That'll cool us down just a bit more as we start moving toward next week. Hopefully a transition that we hope sticks around for quite some time, because I know a lot of people are getting tired of triple-digit temperatures. We got a lot of it in July, breaking records. We're getting a lot of it just to kick off August. So I think it's time we settle down with some cooler temperatures. Our satellite radar, mostly clear skies, but we have been seeing overhead areas where there's a little bit of monsoonal moisture still near Yosemite and pushing over into Nevada. So we have been tracking that so far. No major lightning strikes or lightning activity, but with our National Weather Service here heat risk map, we will be dealing with moderate heat risk for the next couple of days. After that, take a look at the yellow zone there. That is what we should be seeing across most valley spots from Sunday on. We'll be looking at a minor heat risk, if any at all. Low 90s at this point in time really doesn't pose much of a heat risk to many people anymore, especially after dealing with those triple digits for a very long time now. So, of course, this affects individuals who just may be sensitive at this point in time to heat. Now, we're looking at below average temperatures for most of the western U.S., the western coastlines here from Washington, Oregon, and California all the way down. The light blues just around below average, but average is that gray zone. And this is the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook sent in by the Climate Prediction Center, saying we really think that the next 2 weeks out are going to show much cooler conditions. And we have been tracking a lot of our models that have been showing something very similar. Much cooler winds pushing through, so hopefully keeps our temperatures pretty stable and zonal, meaning that we're going to see them consistent in the low 90s for at least the next week and a half out. Most of the U.S., though, will be dealing with above average conditions, except for this little sliver here, which just happened to be touched by Tropical Storm Debbie, which caused a lot of upwelling in the ocean. Much cooler water from the bottom of the ocean now coming to the top after that storm pushed the top layer out and that warm air out. Now we're getting much cooler conditions. So that is expected over the next week to 2 weeks out. Now looking into our 3-day forecast for the weekend ahead, upper 90s, and then finally Sunday, the low 90s arrive. We do expect to see low 90s again throughout next week with some sunshine, mostly sunny skies in and out of the area, with low 90s still continuing into the following weekend.